Welcome to a full review of the new generation Skoda Octavia, today as the Octavia Hatch or hatchback, fastback, saloon, sedan, limousine, whatever is your favorite expression for this body type. We already presented you the Estate, the Combi. You can also check out that review later. Today this focus, and especially in the driving part, I also tell you more about the differences between VW Golf, Audi A3, Seat Leon, Skoda Octavia, all in this new generation. Exterior, interior and the driving experience. Today also with a manual gearbox for a change. As you know, in Full HD, full screen and full length. With Thomas, let's go. Here in the front of the new Octavia generation we see the new front grille, and it leads over to the headlamps seamlessly, and thank God this split headlamp design from the recent facelifted previous generation Octavia is gone now, so definitely sportier, wider as for design and just, simpler. Daytime running light right here, and you start from LED as base, optional matrix LED then with dynamic function. We can also see them right here. This is, for example, something that the Seat Leon does not have, but here the Octavia gets it optionally. Also strong accentuations here in the hood, so from the front I think very well done design wise. Or what's your take on that? 4m69, 15'4" or 185 inches is the length here of the new Octavia. Hasn't changed that much, just a little bit longer, a little bit wider and so on. Wheels from 16 to 18 inch right here in a somewhat aerodynamic design. 19 inch will be reserved then for the RS model. You can see the main design on here above the door handle, and then the Fastback style today, or hatch or hatchback, depending on the market how it's called, or just Octavia, so it really then depends on what your market is, with the folding roofline right here, whereas the Estate or the Combi would continue just here, and with the coupe style ending here, so a very beautiful design. If you can, if you want, so the smallest Audi A7 design somewhat in the corporation, yeah. That would be praising for the car, right? Suspension-wise, by the way, you can get an optional DCC, the adaptive suspension. This is also equipped with this very vehicle. The only thing you have to know that the lower spec engines, like this one also, including 150 horsepower, will get torsion beam at the rear as a rear axle, and more horsepower output. Also the new plug-in hybrid will then get the multi-link rear axle suspension. So the same also accounts for the Seat Leon, for example. Let's see how that one plays out in driving. Design-wise, I think here a very, very nice job, which is combining the styling with practicability. The new Octavia generation was improved in aerodynamics and, to me, also in the design. Here, a very fluent design also in the rear. This 3/4 rear perspective is a very beautiful one. Big Skoda lettering now here, and then you can see the light signature here at the rear, also in a very modern style. So there are not too many design lines, but that's what's making this car so beautiful, I think. Then you can see in the lower part here, I think we can count that as a spoiler design element and not as a fake exhaust. I think that's totally fine. So the Autogefühl fake exhaust, please, can stay home for today. Engines, the turbo petrol engines start with 3-cylinder 1 liter, 110 horsepower. This one here today, 4-cylinder 1.5 liter, 150 horsepower. Either as it is here, manual gearbox, or with the DSG, dual clutch transmission, then also with mild hybrid technology. Then there will also be the 4-cylinder 2 liter, 190 horsepower. Then there will be the plug-in hybrid 1.4 liter plus electric drive as 204 or 245 horsepower. And the 2 liter TDI 115, 150 or 200 horsepower. Last but not least the CNG 1.5 TSI CNG, or the gas engine 130 horsepower. First of all, door closing sound, solid door handles, and yeah, nice sound. Classic, as we know from Skoda here, umbrella at the inside of the door, but you could also have a snow brush in there or at the other side, or just here a dual umbrella setup. Interior here, soft touch inside of the doors, and also a nice structure, so that looks and feels good. And there's chrome inside right here, optional Canton sound system, reasonable door inside pockets. Then different stylings here also available, for example here with this bright aluminum style. It's not aluminum, just a style. And then here very nice the grey fabric, so that's a cool thing you can put into the interiors. Here, by the way, the air vents is like closed like this and open like this, but that way you cannot like change where it's coming from, because if you want to say like, oh, it's coming, it should go out there, then you just close it. Soft touch dashboard here, that's good. Then a completely new steering wheel here with this open, no spoke design. Yeah, it looks strange, but you can get used to it. Digital instruments, always like this. Then seating, there are also plenty of fabric and microfiber seating choices. Also nice sport seats will be available. Here today the animal skin pack, which is hotter in summer and colder in winter. You should leave it out also for practical reasons. Ergo active seats, so the same seat form, which is really decent. Surplus and comfort, but again also then available with different materials, the very same seating form. Let's get inside, of course, with a shoe tap, yeah. And electric pump in the WO here with the electric seat. Starts of course with a manual seat, and with 1.86 or 6'1", plenty of headroom left. There is also a panoramic roof available as an option right here. Steering wheel up and down and in and out, so nice, smooth process. You feel really at home. The seat form has been improved, especially with these optional ergo active seats, so improve in seating comfort, and you really feel like in spacious area. So that's especially good here about the Octavia. From the design, like a very open and fluent and clean design, definitely we see here, I like that. And you almost feel like in a segment above that. The Octavia has always been between compact and mid-size segment. You could rather say, okay, it's a compact platform, but size-wise, and especially from the interior space, you can really count it already as mid-size. Interior overview, and we see here a very clean design. Once again, this nice structure and dashboard, soft touch. Then it would start with the 8.25-inch screen on the right. This is the optional 10-inch screen, and left side always digital instruments, 10.25-inch. Left and right, some somewhat analog gauges here for the fuel settings, for example, inside on the screen. Here again, look at the steering wheel. Left side you control the volume and the heated steering wheel. Also skip to the next track. And on the right side here you can see you can control the digital instruments with this scrolling and pressing, and also here. This to me a little bit complicated, not really intuitive. And then setting the lane keeping assist or assistance system hotkey. Cruise control here with a separate column behind it. Then soon more details to each of the screens, definitely, and to the head-up display. One thing already in advance, controlling the temperature, you do it like this, or with the voice control if it works. At least you have a hotkey here with the climate function. Then you can also hop to like the vent control and so on. So some hotkeys here left in the lower area. This is a little bit more buttons or more key solution than in the Golf and in the Leon and new generation. Lower part with an inductive charging pad or 2 USB-C chargers. The Apple CarPlay is also available wireless, but here if I connect to CarPlay or Android Auto, I always use the cable for more stable connection. Here today the manual gearbox, 6-speed. Alternative would be the 7-speed DSG. Then nice metal knurling here for this, grab handle for the slider, and when you slide open you have cup holders which are adaptive. Then we have the key here, by the way, as well. This looks the same as in the Golf, but yeah, like piano lacquer, this will probably get scratched quite easily. And then we have this solid armrest here, doesn't move at all, just up, and then here some cubby hole underneath, and you can also adjust this armrest here. You can put it a little bit longer, and you can see you can also put it higher, so you can have a higher armrest. So that's very well adjustable, nicely done. And even the glove box, for example, here has a decent size. One other nice feature is next to this bright ceiling here, this frameless rear mirror that adds styling and also a good visibility. Then about these digital instruments here, big speed, for example, in the middle part, and you can have, for example, this view. By the way, here the check engine light is always on when the ignition is turned on. When you really turn the engine, it disappears like in every Volkswagen AG model ever built with this kind of light. Then here you can see, you can also change to the whole map view all over the screen. Different modes available. That's, making it very flexible with these instruments. You can also order a head-up display now with the Octavia, here with the current speed or allowed speed, and also there will be some assistance systems info or some GPS info. In the main menu right here, you can see you can have these climate schemes like Cool My Feet, for example, but you can also have the classic AC unit where you control the vent strength, for example. But most of the time you would control the temperature right here. Not the easy solution, but to me better than a slider. However, you still do have a slider right here for the volume, which is, I think, I would never really use it because I would always use it then at the steering wheel, this control. Either this home menu, this is possible, or then the Meta main menu like this. The overview is quite okay. Here you can hop to the Apple CarPlay, which has a nice integration all over the screen. And the Canton sound system gives you a very decent surround sound. So yeah, like that. That's nice. Here you go back to the Skoda menu or Skoda menu. Skoda, the original Czech pronunciation. Sometimes people think, hey, why are you pronouncing it Skoda? It's wrong. No, it's right. Then exterior here, you can, for example, check for what you want to activate for the headlamps, or then also for interior functions. Right here with the head-up display, for example, you can also adjust the height of the head-up display. That's a very good function. So yeah, I think you can get along with that very well. Let's take a look at the GPS map right here, and it's decently responsive. Maybe could be a little bit faster, but we don't see so many software errors like we've recently seen with the Golf, for example. Yeah, but the CPU here could be a little bit more powerful for that. And then we have a rear view camera, which is quite okay. The resolution should be a little bit better for a new generation, I think, but definitely still a very helpful feature. Now let's get inside here in the rear, and the good thing is always about the Octavia here, good legroom, and it's not such, such a... Voice input always reacts. So not such a long car, but still decent legroom. We have some pockets here at the back part of the seat. Here the rear part material. This is hardback, but it has a structure here, so that's looking good. And we also have the manual shade here, which is also a nice comfort feature, especially then for the kids. Yeah, that's the way. So actually quite comfortable. We can put the head restraints up right here. And headroom wise, although this is not the combi, I still have some headroom left here with 1m86 or 6'1". So yeah, this is really decent. You can feel very, very welcome here. In the middle part, 2 USB-C chargers, 1 real power socket. That's really cool to have that one. And you can also get a rear climate unit even with rear seat heating. So quite exclusive features already. In the middle part here, you have some cup holders, not adaptive, but yeah, I think they will hold the bottle still quite tight. And also use this one here as a ski hatch, and you can already fold the seats from here. However, you can also release them from the trunk. And now this is very cool, because when you open that hatch, it opens very widely in this Fastback style, really cool. Then the sample luggage here inside, and there is a step, so that's a difference then to the combi, to the estate, but in that way you can secure some height still. So like this here to the cover, this would be about over 50 centimeters, and here in the very rear, yeah, then it's less than 50 centimeters, but that's the height. Here in the end you lose if you compare it to the estate, the combi, but still so well usable. Look at that, how much space we have here in the length. This is 1.08 meters about, And here in the width, this is also a good meter, and just wider here in this, very front area here. This is then, like rather close to 140 or something. And what else do we have right here today? First of all, we can move this one up, and there's also a replacement tire even underneath that. And then this is here, for example, for bags. You can put this out here completely like this, but it's also possible to look at that here. It's more like for handbags or something. You can put this one here and that one, for example, then here. And then you can put something here. Maximum says here 3 kilograms. But it looks quite stable, but I'm not sure if it's the most useful thing. Maybe you know that also, this system. I don't know. Not the biggest fan, but yeah, who knows. Here. Then we can also fold them like this and this. Here we go. Well, this doesn't quite well work at the first time. You have to push it down, and then you have the maximum loading setup, which is really, really impressive. So yeah, just once again proves that you can combine here nice styling on the exterior with a lot of flexibility. And to the seat as I would be driving, this is 1.85 meters. And here you can see how it looks like wide open, so you can see how wide the opening is here, so easy to access it. Yeah, just with low basement garage, then you have to stop it in between. That is also possible when you do it like this here and then hold this closing button. There's the sound, and then next time it will just stop at this stage. But of course, the more important question here, there it is, that's the proof. When you want to have it all the way open again, then you push it to the top part and just hold it once again until the sound appears. There it goes, and then it's stopping right in this very top position. Recently seen here with the Tesla Model X, for example, that's easier to be done meanwhile just with a sensor that it always stops there where it's supposed to stop. This more an old school system. Then child safety. Yeah, that's well done. One more. And now, ta-da! Welcome to Thomas's Driving Lounge, here with the Skoda Octavia as the hatchback or fastback, and also with the manual gearbox here today, together with the 1.5 liter turbo engine, the TSI. In this case then no MHEV, so no mild hybrid technology, but there is still cylinder on demand or cylinder deactivation, and you can also get one of these gauges that then also show you when just 2 cylinders instead of 4 are active. It's pretty interesting. 150 horsepower right here. So far we've most of the time driven it with the DSG, with the dual clutch transmission, or S-tronic then they call it at Audi, and that's of course a more comfortable solution. And due to the mild hybrid you can also maybe save some fuel, but I really have to say, just tested this one here now with the manual gearbox and also with the cylinder deactivation technology, and you can actually score the very same good consumption figures. So if you want maybe even lower than 5 liters on 1 kilometers, if you more push it between 5 and 6, so easily higher 40 mpg figures US and easily really higher 50 plus mpg figures UK. So as for the fuel economy, this is really good, and you really have to wonder what the diesel is then for. So if you want a good economic vehicle in here, good economic choice, I think I'm just fine here with the 1.5 TSI. So the diesel won't be that much more fuel saving. We already had one here in the Octavia as well, and that was like, I think maybe 1 liter of fuel saving or something, but I think you'll be just fine here also with this one. The diesel of course higher in the entry price. Now second gear, 40 kilometers to 80. Let's see how that one turns out. Let's go. Plop, that's it. It's already 85. So you see you also have some decent power still. Not lacking any power here from this engine, no problem. The gears are put in very smoothly, but you also have some kind of resistance that you feel that the gears are put in. So I think how that one is then designed from the feedback and so on is also very good. And when you're on the motorway, you can also shift it up and shift up your and then you can also just let the car roll just a little bit. Here 80 kilometers an hour. It's absolutely silent, no problem. There is the cruise control right here. It's also with the distance control, and that is working quite well so far. Has always been has all been updated. So, and in the right side then we can check out the assistance systems. Lane assist is also on, side assist and so on, front assist, everything is on. So it's also an easy way if you disturb or something, you can also turn it off quite quickly. Then here, let's see, in the construction lane, the lane is being kept so far. Please drive in the center of the lane. Don't do that, Thomas. Yeah, so yeah, there were some cars that did that a little bit more sovereign and also kept themselves in the center of the lane, so it was quite okay so far, but you're also reacting quite late. On the other hand, sometimes it's sometimes it's better when they react a little bit later, because then you have more space to move around. Some systems are really annoying. That's not the case right here so far, but we definitely had cars who really kept the car in the center of the lane of the construction site here a little bit better. And we also can test it right here. We sit here on a separate column at the steering wheel, the cruise control. So again, here also the lane keeping assist works quite late. So you shouldn't trust on it to, like a long way motorway and always keeping you in the middle of the lane. Here now on the brakes. Yeah, it's a good feeling also for the brakes. As for the rear axle, the suspension in general, I think is doing a good job. Like to have that. So the standard suspension would be okay if you go more budget choice. DCC is always better. It really gives you more comfort. At the moment we are in normal mode, and we also have the optional DCC here. The only thing is that in the 150 horsepower cars, Leon and Octavia included, we do not have the multi-link rear axle. Whereas the Golf and the A3, when they have 150 horsepower, they already have it. So the car here is also available with that when you pick a different engine then later on, or maybe like the plug-in hybrid and so on. But not with this very vehicle with 1.5. And you do feel the difference. The Golf and the A3, they are more comfortable definitely. Let's go to sports mode. Also for DCC, it won't change too much for shifting because it's a manual gearbox. Now an acceleration, 40 kilometers to, let's see, whatever, some high-speed testing. Let's go. So that's 160 kilometers an hour. That should be good for now. Let's put in 6th gear. And it's a little bit windy outside today, but I mean here at 150, 160 kilometers an hour, still quite reasonable. Is the Golf and the A3 a little bit more silent? Maybe yes, a notch, but not that there would be huge difference. But yes, I would say that the A3 is a little bit more silent, definitely than at higher speeds. The car is still stable. I've set the DCC to sport, so I have a little bit stiffer setup here. High-speed lane change, good to control. There's also good steering input here. No dead zone, very direct control of the steering wheel. Once again, shifting back. So a safe feeling of the vehicle, definitely. But I really have to say that with the Golf and the A3, with that more sophisticated rear axle, or then also when we later test the version here in the Octavia, which has that, you do feel it because the multi-link rear axle is more comfortable and also gives you a sportier connection to the road at the same time. So what I mean by that is it gives you more comfort when running over bumps, but at the same time, it lets the car stick more to the road, that you feel more in control of the vehicle, also in sporty situations. So this then could be a reason to go for a higher engine spec. If you compare this vehicle here to other competitors in the market, it's still good suspension, no doubt. But it will be even better than in the higher engine specs, or if you then go to one of the internal, I would say, competitor models. You can see how it looks like a little bit with the ambient lighting also. So nicely done here, that it shines from below. A little bit Mercedes style, how it shines here. And yeah, indeed, guys, it does have a little bit Mercedes style, also with that steering wheel and so on, don't you think so as well? So maybe they felt inspired by that. I don't know, but definitely very interesting. Here again in the tunnel, it's not too loud, and this car overall gives you a very good and neutral feeling. Is it different in the driving? Here the hatchback or fastback or sedan or limousine or hatch, however you want to call this version here, comparing to the estate, the combi, the wagon, however you want to call that one, they absolutely feel the same. I feel no difference. This here, I think, just a little bit more elegant in the building style from the exterior. Driving wise, yeah, I mean, it's, so to speak, the better building form for driving dynamic, I would say. But yeah, I mean, you don't really feel much difference. It's really good handling, not too sporty. So if we compare also the competitors, Leon, A3, Golf, I mean, you see here, it's a nice and good handling. It's also fun to drive the car, definitely. But from the siblings, the Octavia more has the approach of, I don't need to race, we're all good, we're here with the family, we have a lot of space, just enjoy the ride. It's comfortable and subtle and silent enough, but yet at the same time, we're not pretentious. And the Golf and the A3 with a shorter wheelbase, they drive sportier. The Leon does have the same wheelbase, but has, to me, like, a little sportier setup, not only visual-wise, but also just how it feels. So the Octavia is the one you would pick when you say, like, lighter sporty driving is not really that important to me, So, yeah. So I think it's very interesting that we have, like, these subtle differences between the different sibling cars. So, yeah. Definitely very, very interesting. Now once again back here, and the manual gearbox doing quite a good job. When you had the harsher acceleration, you maybe also see me shifting. It also went quite quickly. That was also all fine. Let's talk about the user input or user interface. That's correct. While driving, I mean, what is better in comparison to the Golf is that we have these hotkeys here, these real buttons. For example, when I want to control some of the assistance systems or want to jump to the climate menu, then at least I have a hotkey to jump to that menu. I still have to linger around here in the infotainment screen, but here accessing plus and minus in the touchscreen directly is, to me, better still than using a temperature slider. Maybe that's different to you, I don't know. But from the input, the A3 is the best one of the four siblings, because we still have like a button to control the climate knob. And then I would say this one here, the Octavia, and Leon and Golf, the worst from the four. That's my input, having driven all four of these, definitely. So let's overtake here. Once again, third gear already at speed, good performance, fourth gear. Yeah, and stable enough on the road. Really nice. Let's see when we switch it back to the normal mode. It's not that it's so much less sportier than suspension-wise, but there is definitely now, a little bit difference. A little bit more comfortable when we're on these raves, and when I'm in sport mode, then I do have more feedback from the road. Of course, when driving faster, this definitely helps as well. So, hardware-wise, once again, a very, very well-built car. And software-wise, there's yeah, something here and there which could be improved, but definitely I feel better in the Golf and in the Leon. Then let's talk about the difference to the previous generation. I feel they have improved the seating comfort, also when you drive a little bit longer, for example. And driving dynamics wise, I think it's also improved. That's definitely better. And to me, the fuel economy. Now, of course, it's a little bit higher because we did these high-speed tests. But in general, fuel economy has also been improved, especially in here for the turbo petrol engine. So that is also then a step forward. It does not feel like a completely revolutionary different vehicle if you compare this generation and the previous one. But definitely notch here and there better. Yeah, and user interface wise, I always have to say it in this case then, maybe that's a little bit worse. But here, from all these things, I think you can best get used to it, what is new and so on. Always funny to look at the steering wheel, which is like floating or flying, so to speak, when it doesn't have a spoke in the lower area. But you get also used to it as well. And not sure what the voice input did there. No idea. Yeah. Set temperature to 16 degrees.
Call number. To use your mobile phone's telephone function, establish a Bluetooth connection.
About that, well, you see that natural voice input is still a step away. But other than that, definitely, once again, a good ride. Would I pick the automatic gearbox? Probably, yeah, it's just more relaxing to ride, but it's a very well designed manual gearbox and you still can score decent fuel economy figures. So if you want to save the money for the automatic and you're fine with the manual, then you can easily go for it. And now to our conclusion for today with the Skoda Octavia here in this fourth generation today as the Fastback. That's my favorite expression. I think styling-wise, definitely more elegant. I prefer this version here. And also if you compare it to the siblings, the Audi A3, the VW Golf and the Seat Leon, just because this body form, you know, to me a little bit more emotional and really very beautiful styling. However, because you have this Fastback opening there, you also have a lot of practicability, so I think it's a very good compromise. You have a nice form on the exterior, but you have a combi and an estate-like hatch in the rear. You lose just a little bit in height, but that's it. In general, this new generation, especially more space overall, even more than before, but it had already a lot of space in the previous generation, of course. This is the theme always about the Skoda Octavia. You have so much interior space and not too long exterior length then. Driving wise, still a very, very good car. Of course, in the higher engine specs that will come later, or in the plug-in hybrid, you get the more sophisticated rear axle. This will give you even more comfort. If you can spare the money, then go for the DCC, the dynamic chassis control, this adaptive suspension. This will also give you a surplus in comfort. That's a very good option, definitely. The interior is very good as for the build quality and has some nice solutions. To me, one of the nicest also from these four sibling lineup. Yeah, the A3 is maybe a little bit better there. But other than that, you know, nice fabric on the dashboard, for example, and the user interface there. To me, you can work with that. Still would prefer the manual climate knobs, but I think it is quite well accessible. You can deal with it. Overall, still a very, very good offering here in this segment overall, and still one of the best price-performance ratio cars on the market. Thank you so much for tuning in today. It's starting to rain now just a little bit, but we kept it on throughout the review. Thank you so much for tuning in. See you next time.